This is totally useless information with Nick and Roy. Summer episodes. Your chance to revisit some of your favorites. Listen, laugh, and learn.
What major sea has no coastline?
So brides carry a bouquet to the altar because of what? Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy. Welcome to a very special episode with world-renowned guests as we introduce a brand new topic. We scour the internet and other sources to gather totally useless information just for you.
And as always, we'll open up the mailbag and the headline from news from around the world. A bride was baffled by a bald groom-to-be.
Totally useless information. It's everything you never needed to know.
Welcome to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. We have a very special guest for a very special episode this week. We have Joe Avati, who's an Italian-Australian comedian who's popular among Italians and descendant of Italians.
Oh, excuse me, Nick.
Yes.
The famous.
Okay, sorry. The famous Joe Avati, the Italian-Australian comedian. He's been all over Canada, United Kingdom, United States. He's around the world. He's performed on several occasions. And today he continues to sell out venue after venue from around the world.
Now, let me stop you for 1 second. This is no longer the show where we have the Progresso soup cans and the string.
No.
This is a big deal now. Totally useless information. 62 countries. We're getting guests like Joe. I mean, folks, this is a big deal.
Well, we clean up the studio, and then we put a plate of cannolis, and we have a little bit of prosciutto and antipasto. But here's a little bit of a sample of what Joe's all about.
All these young kids they're going to having a gap year now. A gap year. Imagine asking your dad that you want to have a gap year. Papa, I think after school I'm going to have a gap year. What's a gap year? After school I've worked hard. I'm going to take a year off. You work hard. I needed the gap year, not you. Right, once I asked him, can you tell me about the birds and the bees? Yeah, the bloody rotten bastard ate all my fig tree.
Joe Avati, welcome to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. You want to hear some totally useless information?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
I used to be a food scientist for an ice cream company, and if you see a blue color in ice cream, it is not natural. You cannot get a natural blue color in artificial color. So any blue color that you see in any children's product or any product is artificial. It's not natural. There's some totally useless information.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah, right off the bat. Boy, so we're talking about customs and traditions. He threw us like useless food information. This is how talented. That's why he's as popular as he is.
That's a really tough job, too, to be the ice cream taster.
Yeah, well, I was the ice cream maker and the ice cream taster.
Well, you know what? I can come up with blue cheese flavored ice cream. Then you have blue and ice cream. See? We can make it work.
Yeah, that's pretty smart, Nick. I like that one. In fact, you know what? Once I was in Spain and I ate a blue cheesecake. It was the best cake I've ever eaten in my life. So it's like a cheesecake, but then the flavor starts to change, and you go, "This is blue cheese." Wow, it was sensational. Anyway,
oh wait, are you sure it was blue cheesecake, or maybe it was cake that's been sitting out for too long and became blue cheesecake?
Well, here's something interesting. Here's something interesting for your listeners. How do you know when blue cheese goes off? How?
Yeah,
I don't eat it. I don't eat it.
It's got mold already on it. You buy it with mold. So how do you know?
Well, the same way they put expiry dates on sour cream. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sour to begin with.
Well, it's when you see furry mold. When you see furry mold on the mold, that's when you know it's gone off.
Well, that's the best part.
Yeah. We've eaten a furry mold because we needed it for the penicillin for obvious reasons.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, Joe, how many years have you been doing comedy after you've studied food science?
Yeah, so this is so I'm celebrating my 25th anniversary this year. So that's a 25. It's called 25 Live my tour because it's 25 years live around the world. Basically, that I've been doing this. So
wow, people, 25 years of comedy, people get less for murder.
Yeah, I know. Well,
but it's okay because Joe kills with his comedy, so don't worry about it. He's okay.
Exactly.
you choose to highlight your experiences with your nono and nono, your grandparents. Why did you highlight your experiences with them?
Well, that's just the way it started. I mean, I don't do that anymore. I mean, now it's, but I used to do a bilingual show. Now it's all in English for everybody to come and understand. And I do a lot of generational humor. So, I take the piss out of millennials and Gen Y, and I compare my life to their life, and and then so I'm kind of the middle ground, so I compare my upbringing with the young kids and then my upbringing compared to my parents. It's because our parents give our children things that they never gave us, Nick. Little things like love and affection.
Oh.
And
Joe, you don't have to blame like grandparents. You could speak directly to Nick. He's old enough.
No. Yeah. Well, you're right, because I think you mentioned that, I've never ever heard any of my parents or grandparents say, I love you.
Really?
No, they showed it, but they never said it. Like, they didn't sit there and just sat me down and said, you know what, I love you.
It's like German grandparents. They just tell you to march.
Never. And now my dad said to my daughter, I miss you. The only time my dad ever said I miss you is when he went to whack me and I ducked. Right? That's the only time I ever got a miss you.
Yeah, exactly. So you're on tour. You've toured all over Australia, your native land.
Great to be touring again after all these years of not working because of COVID.
Fantastic. So give us some. So this is a brand new topic we have on Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. We usually have 3 or 4 topics per show, and we decided to open up our brand new topic with you because you, in most of your material over the years, you talked about a lot of customs. So give us some interesting or useless customs that you can share with our audience.
Well, for the Italians, they're very superstitious people. We have a thing called the evil eye, the malocchio. It's now, Roy. Are you Italian, Roy? I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I know what the malocchio is. I got the horn.
Yeah, right.
The horn is hanging from my
your
car.
Listeners who don't know what malocchio is, it's basically when one Italian puts a spell on another Italian, right? And how do you know when you've got the malocchio? Well, basically you start shivering, you get a cold, you get a runny nose, you get a sore throat. Basically, you get COVID. Right? So guys, for the last 2 years, the whole world has had malocchio, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know how you stay away from malocchio? You take the garlic and you throw it behind the oven, behind the refrigerator.
That's right. That's why Italians have chili peppers hanging off the rear vision mirror, because apparently the evil spirits don't like spicy food.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There you go. Yeah,
I got one.
Yeah, okay.
And it has to do, because of Joe, I did Italian culture. And you can't talk about culture and traditions without discussing music, right? And what better than Italian culture? Opera. Opera is truly an Italian culture.
Absolutely.
It is bathed in Italian culture. And the tradition dates back more than 400 years. The most famous being Aida and La Traviata by a guy named Giuseppe Verdi. Giuseppe?
Joe Green. We call him Joe Green. Giuseppe Verdi.
Pagliacci by Ruggiero. I love this. Leo Cavallo. And you know what we should do too? You know how Spanish, when you speak Latin and Spanish things, you have to throw the phonetic sound into it.
Yeah.
You know, we should do that with Italian too. We don't.
So how would you? Okay, so give us a couple of examples. So in the operas you mentioned, throw the phonetic Italian phonetics in there.
Who, me?
Yeah, La Traviata.
Yeah, La Traviata. You see, La Traviata. You have to get. I mean, that's what they should have to do. They should say, and the opera La Traviata.
That's what it did. So I'm going to give you my teaser. So, people wondered, the bride is going down the aisle. And that's why I found out, or I confirmed with Joe, that he and I have the same wedding anniversary. No, we're not married to each other, but we share the same wedding anniversary. So when our wives walked down the aisle, they had a bouquet of flowers. Now, the bouquet was originally used to mask the bride's body odor. And it was often made with pungent herbs because, according to the Huffington Post, the tradition of the bride carrying a bouquet dates back to the 15th century. Hold
Are you
on.
kidding? Joe just walked into an Italian tradition.
Did you just walk into somebody's house, Joe, just like that?
Yeah. Do you like that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think, look, they have antipasta ready for you. Somehow they knew they had company. They're always ready.
I'm back in the house,
So,
and I'm here. You can hear my son in the background.
oh, wonderful. Tante Auguri, congratulations on your son. So the bouquets were often made of herbs, garlic, and dill. So basically, they could have like brought down a bag of potato chips. Would have been the same thing.
So it was to mask the smell of the bride.
That's right, because in those times, they only bathed once a year, and the reason why June is a popular month for weddings, it's because they took baths in May, and they still smell fresh in June.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
That's incredible information there.
I hate that one, Nick. I really hate it.
but it's true. No, listen, it's useless information, and this is why they continue the tradition today by carrying the bouquet, but thankfully for different reasons.
Some people.
Nick, how long have you been married, Nick? Now,
Legally, we've been married. We just finished 20 years.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Me,
I've just been married over
38,
a year.
Joe. 38 for me.
Wow, 38. Yeah. Hey, yeah. And you reckon you get less for murder doing 25 years of comedy?
Yeah. And marriage, forget it.
I actually enjoy being married because now my wife decides what I don't like anymore. It's fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
It's taking the pressure off me.
What you don't like, what you were gonna wear, who your friends are.
You're going to wear
That's
that.
the thing about when you're married. As soon as everything that you ever knew up until the day you get married, forget it. You know, you just don't. All of a sudden, it means nothing anymore. Your wife can figure out.
Yeah.
You know, all your, you know what? I thought I was a Leo, so I was born August 23rd. So all my life I was a Leo the lion. Not anymore, boys. Apparently I'm a Virgo. After 46 years on this earth, I thought I was a Leo. Nope. On the 27th of December 2020, I found out that I was a Virgo.
Yeah. Your wife's not in the room, is she?
Yeah, she's listening, but she knows I take the pics all the time.
Yeah, she wrote the cue card for you, right? She told you to
She's
say
actually
Yeah.
she's aiming the gun at him right now.
Yeah, that's right. No, she's got a picture of my credit card. She's showing me.
Your son, her, and the credit card.
that. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's like the
Hey, I
threat.
tell you, you know what? It's great when you for those of you who are having children or about to have children, it's a wonderful thing to have children. But here's the thing, guys. This is what I didn't know. It's when you start buying things for the kids that it makes you realize. We bought him a cot. We bought my son a cot. Now, it wasn't anything special. It's a very comfortable cot.
Yeah.
But listen to this. This cot, boys, comes with a 25-year warranty.
Right.
And I thought, I know my son's Italian, but he's got to leave home at some point. You know?
And when he does leave home, guess who's going to be using the cot if you don't behave yourself?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll be in the dog's house or on the cot. Yeah,
Joe,
one of the two.
at this point, because I'm married 20 years, my dog house is fully furnished,
Yeah.
including the air conditioner and everything.
Right. Fantastic.
So, anything else you want to share with us in terms of Italian customs that you've experienced over the years through your acts?
Oh, there's so many. You know, there's so many. Like Italians are very superstitious. Like you can't register a car on a Tuesday. You can't have bread upside down on the table because it's bad luck. There's all these things that, you know, it's, you know, the other thing about being Italian is that we are genetically prone to getting sicknesses and diseases that no other child of any other nationality ever gets. Because you can get the Canadians to go and play outside in the freezing cold for 3 hours with their flip-flops and their shorts and their singlets. But the Italians who are wrapped up with 3 jumpers, 3 blankets with a beanie, we're not allowed to go and play because, God forbid, we're going to get pneumonia or, you know, a bronchitis. You know, it's being Italian is not an easy life. You know what I mean? It's a very difficult, and this is why the Munja cakes have got it so easy. They don't have to worry about the things that we have to. I mean, Italians, we can go out in the wrong wind. Like you get a Canadian can go out in any windy condition and they'll be fine. But an Italian goes out in the same windy condition, we could get paralyzed from the neck down. Right?
Well, I'm married 38 years. I'm paralyzed from the neck down.
That's right. Exactly. You know, so when we did get married, I mean, part of the tradition was giving the bride away. So this will be interesting. The tradition of the father of the bride walking his daughter down the aisle to, quote, give her away It dates back roughly to 1549. And no, Roy, I don't know when that was, because Roy always, says, what was that like in 1549?
Oh, no, not 1549,
Okay,
maybe 1579, but go ahead.
But you know what, Joe, for the record, and I've said this many times in the show, Roy is 2 months older than I am, so he's the old man. And I told him that in his good ear. Anyway, so it was more of a business transaction than anything else. The giving away was a transference of property. In Britain and many places, women have been long considered essentially the property of men. First their fathers and then their husbands. So the phrase giving away suggested that the woman's role in this exchange from one man to another until the brides of today.
You know what? You know what's totally Italian? And this is kind of like my cultural thing, and it's more of a thought than anything. What's totally Italian is like when Italians go searching for a place to live, they want the living room to be, a living room could be like an 8x6. It doesn't matter. But the dining room better be at least like 25x25, because the table that's going to be in there is insane. On Sunday, I would go over Nick's house sometimes, and there'd be like 35 people at the table. And it was just, and that's what Italian culture, it's all about the family. They don't believe.
Well, it's about food, right? It's about food. That's why we have two kitchens. The one we spend $40,000 on and never use, and the one you eat in the basement. Right?
Exactly. And you know what else too? Like we believe in America, we believe in like the nuclear family. Your mother, your father, and your kids. And that's it. But in Italy, man, it's not unlikely to see the great grandparents and maybe even older if they're around, in the same household. It's an amazing family culture.
It is.
Well,
and
absolutely.
That's my only serious thing for today.
Okay.
Wow. Gee, thank goodness you're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. Our very special guest is Joe Avati, and it's actually a personal thrill for me because Joe and I, like I said, we knew each other. We met 20 years ago at the radio station. I'm still here at the radio station because I know where all the hiding spots are. But we will, and this episode actually is being aired right now all across Canada on the iHeartRadio Talk Network. So we're really pleased that you're here, Joe.
You know Joe for 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. CFMB was it, I think, Nick, wasn't it?
CFRB, yeah.
So what were you, Joe? Like, Joe, you were like 16, 17, and Nick was like, what, 62 at the time?
62 and a half. Wow. But you see what I do?
26 or 27, yeah.
Joe, what I do is like when people ask me how old I am, I always add 9 years to my actual age, and automatically you look good. So I look good for 64, right?
Fantastic.
So it works out really well, And then, look, I'm follically challenged. Joe, you're follically challenged, For me, it doesn't matter because in high school, I was voted most likely to recede. I have no problem. It all worked out okay, So what was the other
one? Nick, if my opening act doesn't show up, I know who to call, right?
There you go. Let us know because we'll be available. But we've been doing this show for a couple of years now, but we've been on the radio since last July, and we've been getting a lot of feedback from people. And a couple of weeks ago, I had made a mistake. What do you call a Speedo in Australia, Joe?
Speedo.
The Speedo. The bathing
the Speedos are budgie smugglers, yes.
Okay. So I think I called it a budgie something or other, and sure enough, I got an email from someone in Toronto. It said, I'm Australian, and the actual term is a budgie smuggler. So we have
budgie smuggler, that's right.
Correct.
I called it a banana hammock.
Yeah, right.
Well, Joe, I really want to thank you for joining us on our show.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
We can't
I'm really
thank you
sorry
enough.
about being in the car because we're just moving around a lot, It's just crazy times here at the moment.
No.
It's the first show's tonight, so, we have to
we were just happy to have you on, Joe. I mean,
thank you so much. Well, hopefully when I get to Toronto, we'll be able to catch up.
I'm looking forward to that, and then we'll obviously send you a link so you can share.
And Joe, when you're down in Florida, you look me up because I'm down in Florida.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know what? I get so many requests to go down to Florida. Hopefully we'll do Florida next year.
Yeah, they're all Roy. They're all Roy's requests. It's only one person who makes that request. Joe Avati, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Where can they get information?
Thank you, Nick.
Where can they get your information? What's your website?
JoeAvati.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. And I'm in Australia's Most Wanted.
JoeAvati.com. JoeAvati.com. Guys, you want to laugh? Go look at him on YouTube, too. He's funny.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Ciao, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We'll talk soon. All right. You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy.
You know, lately, Nick, I was feeling really tired, and we spoke about this. My friend Bob introduced me to Athletic Greens. This product is amazing. It's got a great taste. It's like a tropical fruit taste. I take it in the morning. It is amazing how I sleep better at night. My stomach feels great. It's like supporting my gut. I have so much energy. I haven't had this much energy in so long.
Well, it also supports my gut, and I have quite a gut to support. Now, just don't take our word for it. Athletic Greens is trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. And right now, it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. It's all it takes.
I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't cost more than like a cup of coffee a day to feel fantastic and great, and they're giving a special offer for us to give to you.
They said to us, why don't you tell your loyal listeners, we'd love to do this for them because they're loyal listeners to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. Go to athleticgreens.com/emerging, and they will send you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to the website athleticgreens.com/emerging. That's athleticgreens.com/emerging.
Do it today. I'm telling you, you're going to feel great.
athleticgreens.com/emerging.
Throw away your totally useless GPS. It's time for geography. So get lost with Nick and Roy.
Well, that was fun, huh? Now I can eat all the antipasto and all the cannolis. Left behind. Bubble gum is illegal in Singapore.
It's illegal.
You may only possess it if you have a special doctor's note.
For bubble gum.
Bubble gum is one of the most consumed forms of candy in the world. That is everywhere except Singapore, where the consumption of gum is strictly prohibited. The reasoning behind the ban is to attempt to curb littering.
Oh.
Access to candy is possible, but you need to get a doctor's note first explaining why the gum might be a necessity for your health.
Wow. So you can't chew gum because they're worried about you getting it on the sole of your shoe.
Exactly. Yes.
And this is in Singapore.
In Singapore.
Okay. Can visitors bring gum?
You have to be careful because if you don't follow the rules, you'll be flogged.
Okay. Not going to Singapore very soon.
Yes.
Thank you to all the listeners in Singapore.
We do have them, yes.
This was my teaser. There's only one sea that has no coastline. The Sargasso Sea has no coastline. Now, just think about that. If you were lost at sea, you're really screwed. But there's no coastline, so you would never find it. But the sea, you would never find land, technically, because it's it's the only sea in the world to have no coastline. It's in the North Atlantic, surrounded by 4 ocean currents, has no land or coastlines. It was named for the heavy seaweed that floats around in the ocean called the Sargassum, not to be confused with Mayagasum, which is something that I excrete.
Oh, I was trying to figure out, like, where on the map is that? Oh, I see.
Yeah. No, really. This is literally an ocean with no land in it. No islands, no nothing.
Wow. Okay. Here in Toronto, which is where I am, Roy is in Florida. I'm in Toronto, Canada. And in Toronto, there's a rare book library. The Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library is a library in the University of Toronto campus, constituting the largest repository of publicly accessible rare books and manuscripts in Canada. The library is also home to the University Archives, which, in addition to institutional records, because that's where our records are in an institution, or should be, also contains the papers of many important Canadian literary figures like Margaret Atwood and Leonard Cohen. The Toronto Rare Book Library.
Oh, cool. Okay, so if you guys are ever up in Toronto and you're looking for a boring book, you can go there. They're rarely read.
Yes. Those are the kind of books we read. The rare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But speaking of the institution, we might have to go back in a little while.
No, time's not up yet.
They only let us out for a little bit to do the show, and then they make us go back home.
We have a once a week pass.
Nick goes back to banging his head against the wall.
Chewing gum.
It's Morse code, I want you to know.
Help me, help me.
When you think of the largest city in America, right? You think New York, Los Angeles, right? Dallas. You think of these big masses, Chicago. No. Those are the things that come to mind, but they are not the largest cities. In America, the largest city is Sitka, Alaska.
Sitka,
Alaska. It is 2,800 square miles.
Wow.
Wait, the second largest is Juneau, Alaska.
Yeah.
2,700 square miles. Okay, just to give you an idea of size, New York City is 302 square miles.
Wow.
I think Alaska has the top 5 cities in America by size. Of course, population, not so much. Sitka only has 10,000 people. There's more than 10,000 people riding the subway.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably more like 60 or 80,000 people riding the subway.
Did you know about Juneau? Do you know about Alaska?
You know? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, since you're being funny, how about some funny Canadian cities, by name I mean? There's Dead Man's Flats, Alberta. There are at least 2 potential origins for this striking name. Some trace it back to a murder at the Bow River Dairy Farm in 1904, and others believe the name, Dead Man's Flats, from a Nakota man who was hunting beaver in the area and pretended to be dead to avoid getting caught. Today,
I used to hunt beaver at bars.
you asked for their number. Today, the community...
And the guy who died at the dairy factory died from lactose intolerance.
That's right. He did.
But they changed the name to Churning Stomach Flats.
Yeah. Dead
Or
Man-
I gotta go Flats.
or Dead Man's Flatulence.
Or Rivers is a running Flats.
That's right. There you go. Today, the community is a popular destination for trout fishing and a short drive from Banff National Park. Dead Man's Flats, Alberta.
Let's talk about Canada some more, huh?
Sure.
Eh? Let's talk about Canada, eh? Wow.
Let me interject you for a second. So today on the radio, I heard a commercial for Canadian eggs, and they say, "Well, do you know how do you know they're Canadian eggs?" Because I thought it's because they're grade A. Grade A eggs. Thank you.
Grade A.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A. Canada has the largest concentration of freshwater lakes in the world. But it's crazy because 9% of your country is lakes. Now that's mind-boggling. Almost 10% of the entire country is lakes. But this is where it gets even crazier. And I don't even know if Canadians know this. You know how many lakes you have? Don't look on the computer.
No, my hands. Look, I'm showing you my hands. I'm not touching the keyboard. How many?
Wait a minute. I hear the keys going. How are you doing that? Don't try to avoid the subject, Nick.
Okay, because the way you asked it, and I'm going to say 5,000.
31,752 lakes.
Wow.
To be exact. I counted each one. 561 of those lakes measure more than 62 square miles each.
Amazing.
That is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and we still bottle water up here.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. So here's another funny Canadian city. Forget Saskatchewan.
Forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what it said, but it says Forget Saskatchewan. Was the lieutenant governor of Saskatchewan, where this tiny village got its name. Amédée Forget was born in Quebec, but in 1847, as the Queen's representative of this prairie province, he was a natural namesake for the Francophone town. So the town was named after Amédée Forget.
Yeah, I used that town as an excuse once when the cops pulled me over.
Yeah.
I said, I left my wallet at home, officer. Forget.
Yeah. And then the other city, the sister city to that in New York is forget about it. And one more funny Canadian city. It's
No, I got something. You can't give me one more.
okay.
You want to give me one more?
One more
Folks, do
bonus
you want to
one.
hear one more? Let's hear it.
Yes. Yes. Okay, there you go. It's okay. I have to say this properly. Okay, ready? It's Stoner, BC, man.
Stoner, eh?
Locals reportedly use the ladder. I'm like ladder, like not the ladder, like to climb.
It's a very
Yeah.
tall city.
Yeah. Either way, if you're driving north on Highway 97 to Prince George, keep your eye out, man, for this quiet community. And yeah, and then there's a sign that says Stoner, man, and then Dorito Lane.
Yeah, that city is so tall that you don't even go to grammar school. You go right to high school.
The ladder.
Bum.
Yes.
Okay. Diomede, Russia, and Little Diomede, United States, are between Russia and Alaska in the ocean. They're islands. They're only 2.4 miles apart. Now, just think how close that is. You could see them. Literally, you could swim it. 2.4 miles apart from each other. But because of international law and time zones, if you went from one island to the other, 2.4 miles, you would be 20 hours difference.
Wow.
So isn't that crazy? So just think about like New Year's. You could get stone drunk, celebrate New Year's, go to the next island, sober up, and start drinking again. It's a paradise.
And then you forget in Saskatchewan that you've been to Stoner, BC. Hey, don't forget about this. You go to our website, nickandroy.com. There you can find out all of the past episodes, a full library of over 110 episodes. Go to nickandroy.com.
And the birthdays.
You
can get a birthday message for somebody that you love. It is the best gift ever. Birthday messages from nickandroy.com.
What we do is we produce a mini totally useless information show for the person that you'd like to send a birthday message to. It's
and
great.
You get to hear a sample on the website.
Go to nickandroy.com. You check it out there. nickandroy.com/birthdays. Give you all the information. It's reasonably priced and not bad for two guys like Nick and Roy who are really, really not famous.
You get two famous guys.
Yeah, exactly. Two. And
we have friends. We have friends.
We do have friends. They don't know it yet, but we do have friends. And so check it out, nickandroy.com/birthdays. You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy.
Innovations, ideas. The Totally Useless Information Podcast presents Inventions.
So I was looking for inventions, and I said, let me come up with some really cool stuff. The pinball machine. Right? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
The first modern pinball machine was invented by, it's a big name, Montague Redgraves.
Oh.
That's a cool name, Montague. Call him Monty. His friends call him Monty.
Yes.
In 1871, which I thought was pretty old. 1871, the first coin pinball was not until 1931. The first one that you could put a coin in was called Ballyhoo.
Oh, very good.
I said it was Ballyhoo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do that again. 3, 2. Ballyhoo?
Yeah, Ballyhoo.
Ballyhoo. What?
Yeah, Ballyhoo.
Who? Yeah, we're just a couple of flippers. How about a dog bed for humans? A pair of University of British Columbia economics students, maybe they're from Stoner, BC, I'm not sure, but they're putting their education to good use before they even graduate. They invented a dog bed for humans called the Pluffle. Noah Silverman and he's one of the co-founders, and he said being full-time students, working on the side and everything else, napping is how we cope with a busy lifestyle. So the idea came from Silverman's work at a coffee shop where the owners had a huge Great Dane, and it had built the pup a customized dog bed. His friend, Mr. Kinoshita, saw Silverman napping with the Great Dane, and they discussed the idea into the human realm. So they said, we've been big nappers. And what a better way to be nice and comfortable than a big dog bed for humans. Pluffle.
So you had Silverman and Hiroshita.
Kinoshita.
Kinoshita.
Yes.
So why didn't they just like name the company like using the last parts of their names like Manshita?
Well, if you manage Shita into the bed.
Yeah. Or Sheeta Company. we make Sheeta.
Yeah. You're so full of Shita.
I got another cool one, Nick.
Yeah.
Get ready, folks. Silly Putty.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Silly Putty, everybody knows Silly Putty. I don't know about millennials.
Yeah. Look it up.
They sleep on dog beds. Okay. In the 1930s, during World War II, rubber was it's totally scarce. You couldn't get rubber, you couldn't get rubber bands, anything. It all went to the war effort. And there weren't enough rubber trees producing latex. So they wanted to find, during the 1930s, they wanted to find a synthetic rubber. So the United States government got to work. And the first invention they invented was Silly Putty. They said, no, this is not good for rubber. But somebody took it and after the war created the game, they call it a game, Silly Putty. Now get this, it's over 70 years. Silly Putty still sells over 2 million little plastic eggs a year.
Wow.
Yes, that was a good investment.
It was. And if you remember the commercial, they used to take Silly Putty and then place it on top of firmly on top of a comic in the paper, and you lifted it up, and the comic image would be transferred onto the Silly Putty.
Yeah, I used to buy a lot of them, and when I went to bars and there were no pretty women there, I'd break out the Silly Putty and just put it over their face.
Yes.
And I would have adhered the face of somebody else.
Right.
Like maybe Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yes. Hey, Leonardo da Vinci, we know, has come up with many inventions. He was the first person to design an armored tank.
Whoa.
While working for the Duke of Milan, he created an armored war machine complete with 36 guns to be driven by 8 men. In theory, it was virtually invincible. However, the diagram that he drew contained an error. The gears caused the front and back wheels to move in opposite directions.
You don't get very far, do you?
No. Incredibly, historians doubt that it was an error made by mistake because they believe it might have been a strategic design tactic that rendered Da Vinci himself as the only person who could properly assemble the tank. Thus,
what a great sketch for like the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
No, I'm going that way. No, I'm going this way. I'm going that way. This way, that way, this way.
And in doing so, it kept the tank out of enemy hands. Brilliant.
Cool. Yeah. The record player.
Oh, remember that?
Now, the record player, I knew that it was invented by Thomas Edison, but I didn't know it was 1877. I thought that was pretty far back. A lot of things going on in the 1870s, pinball machine, record player.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really the record player that we know. It was called the phonograph and it had the big horn on it, you know. So it was not something that was like you could put from room to room. It was a large object. The first smaller record player for commercial use was put out during the Great Depression, and it was a failure. People were broke. They couldn't afford to buy a record player, nevertheless, records for it.
Yeah.
So it was a bomb. But there was a turnaround. Record player, turn around.
Yeah. And around.
Double entendre.
Yes.
No, okay. There was a turnaround in the 40s, and records took off, and so did record players, and they got smaller and smaller with built-in speakers. But get this one. John Lennon, Yoko Ono's hit record Double Fantasy, of course, record album. It was released on vinyl. A signed copy of Double Fantasy just sold for $525,000.
Wow.
$500,000. Because, of course, he put the album out, and a few months later, he was killed. So there aren't that many signed copies of Double Fantasy.
Yeah, and usually it happens with artwork. After the artist dies, the value of their artwork goes up.
Exactly. They're not going to make any more.
No, just like when we go. I mean, we're artists of useless information. I'm sure these episodes will be worth something.
Oh, I'm sure that people will be giving them to their great-great-grandchildren, saying to them, please listen to these two men of wisdom.
Yeah, more like wisdom teeth pain. The hangover mask.
No, actually, I can just see the opposite. Just listen to these two morons.
Just don't do what they do or say what they say. The hangover mask, as we're doing inventions on totally useless information with Nick and Roy, it's made up of ice cubes to cool the face. This mask was said to help poor souls of the world to handle their hangovers. It's basically a bunch of ice cubes around your face and the openings for your eyes and nose and mouth.
Yep.
It was coined by Max Factor.
Wow.
In the United States in 1947. But when you think about it, you don't need a hangover mask, because the best way to really cure a hangover is not drink at all.
Yeah, and those of you who are environmentalists, you can save your ice cubes from the drinks from the night before to use in the mask.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. If you can get them into the little bag, you'll probably drop them all over the floor, you drunk fool. All right, hair dryers. Yeah. Something that Nick knows nothing about.
I've seen them in the museum, yes.
Well, the original hair dryer, and this guy's name I love too, Alexander F. Bayou Gardefeuille. Okay? Well, Alexander F. Bayou Gardefeuille had his own salon in France, and he invented what he called in French, Haré de Poufte. No.
It sounded so rude in so many different languages.
So Gardefeuille,
Got it right.
he actually called it the hood hair dryer. Yeah, no. You think he was French, he'd have something cool to say.
Yeah.
He called it the hood hair dryer. But before he invented this, people would actually use an invention that was just invented a few years prior. They would dry their hair with a vacuum hose from a vacuum cleaner.
Really?
Yes. And I didn't know that. And the average blow dryer that you buy in the store will last over 300 hours of use.
Mm-hmm.
So, which doesn't seem like a lot until you realize that you probably only use it for a couple of minutes and then put it away. In your case, Nick, yours would last about 300 years.
Yes. That's why I said it's in a museum. And the last invention in this segment, beating breasts.
Oh, what is that?
Beating breasts is an invention from 1963, the year that both Roy and I were born. Mm-hmm. It was a pair of artificial breasts from Japan. This device had a built-in heartbeat and was meant to be a sleeping aid for very young children.
I sleep with one till today. It's a bitch, though, when you wake up and you got like red on your eye because you got poked with the nipple.
Right. What, was the room cold? You're listening to Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy. As we mentioned, go to our website, nickandroy.com. You can do many things there. You can check out Roy's garden. You can check out his pineapple that he's growing. You can check out...
Folks, this is the breast podcast to listen to.
It is, exactly. And you can also, we milk uses information for all we can get, really.
Where do you find this, Nick?
nickandroy.com, and you can also find out more information about Athletic Greens, which we talked about, and you can send us an email at nickandroy.com.
What's in the mailbag? What's in the mail?
Carol is a loyal listener to our show. It totally uses information with Nick and Roy. She listens to us on Friday nights on News Talk 1010 in Toronto, which of course is part of the iHeartRadio Talk Network, which is all across the country in Canada. So she writes, Hi Nick and Roy, I really love to listen to you both every Friday night. My question is this: what do they mean when they say dressed to the nines? Now, she's a very thoughtful listener because she says maybe other people would like to know this also. So this is not just for her. Carol, thank you for your email. Thank you for your message. And this goes out to all of our listeners.
Yes.
The term dressed to the nines refers to the fact that the very best suits were made with 9 yards of fabric. The more material you had, the more kudos you accrued over time. Dressed to the nines. So there you go, Carol. And to the other listeners, courtesy of Carol.
That was pretty cool.
Thank you,
That
Carol.
was good. My mailbag is from Auckland, from Kingston, Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Auckland J.
Yes.
From Kingston, Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
And he says, "Man, you guys are so funny. I'm a baker and play your show." Oh, he says, "Oh, I play your show to all the people at work." He says, "Thanks." He says, "So be happy, Nick and Roy."
Don't worry, be happy.
So Auckland, I thought that was cool. Kingston, Jamaica. I love Jamaica. I love Jamaican people. They're awesome. So get yourself a golden crust beef patty. It's delicious.
Thank you, AJ. So once again, you go to our website and send us an email. Now you can also leave a voice message right there, right on the front page at nickandroy.com.
And now for something completely useless.
The LaserJet printer
Oh, nice.
changed printing forever because it changed from using actual ink to using a powder substance called toner.
Yes.
Plus the fact that it was much sharper of a print and the colors were almost perfect matches to the colors that it was copying. It was invented in 1969, and I say the number 69 because I like to.
Mm-hmm.
So 1969 by Gary Keith Starkweather. He's got 3 names. He's important.
Yes.
The first one in 1975 that was sold for $17,000.
Whoa.
And there's probably no place to get the toner either.
No, there isn't.
They can walk into any store and go, toner, and they'll be like, no, we got plenty of ink.
Yes.
No, but anyway, it works by burning the toner powder at 400 degrees at the source of the print head.
Oh.
And then it adheres that to the page by melding it to the paper. You'd think that now mine is really bad because all I do is try to print something and everything goes on fire. So that gives the name hot off the press.
It does. So how much do they sell it for?
17,000 for the first one in 1975.
Wow, you talk about printing money. Today we had a very special guest, Joe Avati. We thank him very much and wish him luck on his upcoming tour here in North America. We talked about customs, talked about geography. It's time for the news.
And now, from around the corner and around the world, this is TUI News.
A bizarre incident has come to us from India.
What?
Yep. It reminds you of the movie Bala. The movie released in 2019 is a story of a man who suffers from premature balding and hides it from his bride-to-be to marry her. A groom nearly pulled this off, but it didn't pay off because the bride refused to marry him after finding out about his baldness, even though half of the wedding ceremonies were completed.
He was wearing a wig?
The groom, before walking in, felt dizzy and fainted. As he fell to the ground, his wig came off.
Oh, no.
And the groom had kept the bride's family in the dark about his baldness. As soon as the bride learned that the groom was bald, she refused to go ahead with the marriage ceremony. She said no.
Wow. This is a hairy situation, Nick.
It is. Despite the efforts of the family members and relatives to persuade the bride, no, she stood firm.
I mean, Gandhi was bald. There's loads of bald people in India.
Yeah, but you knew that ahead of time. This guy was hiding the fact that he was bald. See, that's the problem.
He's hiding. He had a big secret.
This is how serious it was. The matter was taken to the local police station.
Of course.
But again, the bride...
What would they be doing in India?
But the bride remained firm even after the police investigation.
Yeah.
A meeting was called, and the girl's family...
The bride remained firm? I thought it would be the groom that would be firm in the honeymoon night.
No, there was no honeymoon because she didn't marry him.
Oh, that's right, because he faked the hair.
That's right, and he didn't tell anybody. The girl's family
Did he go to,
claimed...
like, hair club from Indian men?
Maybe they should have, like, the sprayed-on hair, maybe, you know?
Who knows what this man did, but he hid it from her, so it had to be good.
They spent lots of money on the marriage. The groom's side agreed to their demands and returned the money to the bride's father because they're talking about customs and traditions.
Yeah,
The bride's
probably like $50 and a sack of curry.
Yes. The bride's uncle.
Yes. Oh, now the uncle's involved.
Oh, he's involved now, too. There's a whole family affair. Said the groom's family should not have hidden the fact that he was bald. If they had told us about the groom's baldness, we would have mentally prepared the bride, and she would not have been so shocked.
So the hairpiece fell off at the wedding.
He was nervous. He fainted, and as he fell, never mind the fact that he fainted, he's on the floor, maybe bleeding from his fall. They were shocked because he was bald, because his wig.
So he was not a very smart man.
He wasn't.
Because he should have fell, he fainted, he fell to the floor. When he woke up, he should have said, "My God, my hair's falling out."
That's right. That's how hard I fell.
And she would have, no. She would have felt bad for him and still married him.
No, because they kept this a secret. You cannot expect the marriage to start on falsehood, according to the uncle.
Exactly. This is why Nick was flat out, showed the baldness
right away
to his wife.
That's
20,
right.
How long? 20, how many years?
20 years ago, and yeah, exactly.
20 years ago, she was not shocked at the altar.
No, she wasn't. She's shocked now, but not at the altar. Even though they convinced the bride, she did not agree to the marriage, and later a compromise was reached between the two parties. So
they never got married.
They never got married. They did come up with a solution. So that's all the time that we have for this episode of Totally Useless Information. We thank you, and we will scour the internet once again.
They did not get married, and they did not share the naan bread.
We will scour the internet and other sources to find out.
They did not eat the chicken korma.
More information, more useless information for you next time.
Hey, so they never had relations before, I guess, because... this guy just fell down and it fell off. Could you imagine during sex, the thing would have hit like a ceiling fan and went flying? It would have looked like he killed a beaver or some. Maybe he did kill a beaver. That's why she was marrying him. Who the hell knows?
She just had it stuffed. Tell the people what to do.
First off, joeavati.com is how you get in touch with Joe.
Yep.
If you want to talk to our friend there, go to joeavati.com. We call him our friend because it makes us sound more important.
It is, exactly.
But tell your friends about this show. We really do enjoy bringing it to you every single week.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Roy.
Thanks for listening.
Totally Useless Information with Nick and Roy is a production of nickandroy.com. Visit nickandroy.com to access the full library of episodes or wherever you get your podcasts.